All right, everybody, welcome to week 5 of the NFL season, and this is the week 5 picks video where we do the pick'ems, and almost didn't make it in time. Thursday Night Football is about to start in about 40 minutes, but we got here under the wire, so we're all good. So if you're new here, this is the board. All the games are up here, at least all the games that are currently scheduled to be played, and we're going to go through and we're going to pick all the games. So, or at least I'm going to pick all the games. So the Bills-Titans game has already been moved to Tuesday. And if that holds, then next week's Thursday Night Football game will move to Sunday, which is Bills-Chiefs. And if that doesn't work, then Bills-Chiefs will come back. And then I guess the Titans forfeit the game against the Bills if they have another positive test. I don't know. If the Titans are screwing shit up. Let's just put it out there. If I'm a Bills fan or player, or if I'm a Steelers fan or player, I'm pretty fucking pissed right now at the Titans for just continuously breaking protocol. So we'll see what happens. The Titans seem to have a positive test pop up every day now, but more about that later. So beginning with Thursday Night Football, we have the Bucs versus the Bears, which is Tom Brady versus Nick Foles 2. They last met in the Super Bowl, where Nick Foles pulled off the miraculous end to that season and won a Super Bowl for Philly. And things are a little bit different now. He's in a different city, different scenario, different set of offensive tools. And overall, the Bears, like I said, I've been saying for the last couple of weeks, I believe this is a fraudulent team. Yes, they are 3-1, but I think this is a bad 3-1. And really, it depends on what level of quarterback play they get out of Nick Foles, because there's no way they can go back to Trubisky, not unless it's an injury. On the other side, the Bucs are doing really well. The defense gave up a lot of points last week, but it's still really good defense. Tom Brady has settled in despite the number of turnovers and the pick sixes. The concern is that the offense is a little banged up with LaShawn McCoy and Leonard Fournette. Mike Evans is questionable. Scotty Miller, Chris Godwin's currently out. OJ Howard is lost for the year. So there's it's pretty tough to be a Buccaneers offensive player right now. But I still think that they have the better team, especially on defense with Antoine Winfield, the defensive rookie of the month for the NFC. So I'm going to go with the Buccaneers to win that game tonight. Next, moving on to the Panthers and the Falcons. Panthers came through for me last week with their win, so I am now 1-3 when picking Panthers games. And as far as the Falcons go, you want to point to the talent on this offense and say, yeah, it's more talented than the Panthers. But right now, I don't think that matters. It just, the fact that, you get Calvin Ridley with no receptions last week. Julio Jones has got the hamstring problem, so he misses an entire half last week. And they can't get Todd Gurley going. So what does that leave you? Not very much. So I think, honestly, I'm going to go with the Panthers this week because I think they're more aggressive. Teddy Bridgewater and Robbie Anderson have been hitting it out of the park. So I like the Panthers in an upset, if you will. A lot of people on paper would take the Falcons in a heartbeat, but I think I'm going to go with the Panthers. They seem to want it more. And then Dan Quinn gets fired finally. Bills and Titans, if this game gets played, I'm going to go with the Bills. The Titans have just been in utter chaos since their game against the Vikings that they won. But, they had to postpone the Steelers game, and then now they've used up their bye week. They haven't been able to practice really all that much other than that illegal practice that they had at the high school. What were you thinking? So I don't know how ready this team is going to be. They are completely 100% distracted. The Bills, they've been preparing at their normal pace because they've had no problems. But if this game gets canceled, I think they're going to be very upset. So right now, I'm going to go with the Bills. Josh Allen is playing at an MVP caliber level this year. Stephon Diggs has moved in very nicely. And they're getting, great play out of all their role players on offense. And the defense is going to, I think, take a step up. Moving on to the Raiders and the Chiefs. I have no reason to pick against the Chiefs for right now, so that's what I'm going to do. As I said, the Raiders kind of fell back down to earth after that Saints game a couple weeks ago. Still a good football team, but when you're missing Henry Ruggs and Bryan Edwards and forced to rely on Nelson Aguilar, things can get a little bit difficult, especially when an opposing defense knows to take away your check down in Darren Waller. So it's just a matter of, can they get Josh Jacobs going, and can they find a receiver who is not named Nelson Aguilar to pull its weight. So I think the Chiefs win that one pretty easily. Moving on to the Cardinals and the Jets. Cardinals are looking a little fraudulent lately. Started out pretty good with 2-0, but lately they've lost 2 straight. And honestly, 2 straight losses that they probably shouldn't have suffered. If you want to be a legit contender in this league, you got to beat the teams that you should. And this is one of those games. So the fact that Joe Flacco is going to be playing and his best offensive weapon is Jamison Crowder and Frank Gore and Chris Herndon, I'm hesitant to even look at the New York Jets to get into the win column without Sam Darnold. So I will go Arizona Cardinals. That defense will not be able to stop Kyler Murray. He'll be all over the field. And the Jets have no chance. Adam Gase lives to fight another day despite going 0-5. Next, we have the Steelers and the Eagles. The Steelers are off their impromptu bye week. The Eagles have came off a win last week, so they're 1-2-1. They lead the NFC East. That feels like it should be momentum going into this game for the Eagles, but it was an ugly win. Things are still not going good down there. Steelers are one of the best teams in the league, especially on defense. I think it's going to be a nightmare for Carson Wentz to play this game because of the offensive line trouble that they've had with all the injuries and the fact that Bud Dupree and the Steelers defense is having an amazing time getting to the quarterback this year. So I'm going with Steelers all the way. Really hard to pick against them right now. Next, we got the Rams and the Washington football team. The Washington football team has made a change at quarterback. They will now be going with Kyle Allen instead of Dwayne Haskins, who has been demoted to the third string position. Didn't even get to practice the other day. On the other side of the ball, we have the Rams, who gave up a lot of points, but I still think this defense is good enough, and the offense is coming along. They showed, what's the word I looking for? They showed not solidarity. What is it? Maturity, demeanor. I don't know. Whatever it is. They were able to overcome the adversity that was getting down big time to the Bills. So I think the Rams are a good team. I think they can beat the Washington football team pretty easily. In Washington, you have Terry McLaurin and you have Antonio Gibson, and that's about it. I know they've been trying to force the ball to Logan Thomas, but Logan Thomas can get absolutely no separation when it comes to his reception. So it's always a 50-50 ball when you try to target Logan Thomas. So we'll see how Kyle Allen does. They usually try to have a lot of down the field passes for him. But the problem is that Kyle Allen is suspect to turnovers, and turnovers happen pretty frequently when he's on the field, as we saw last year. So I'm going to go with the Rams in this one. Despite the quarterback change, I don't think Washington football team's going anywhere. Bengals and Ravens. Joe Burrow, welcome to the NFL. This is going to be the first time that I think that this kid is going to get pretty dominated because the Ravens are that good at 3-1. They figured out what they needed to figure out after their first loss. And I think that the only suspect thing is that Lamar Jackson missed 2 practices, Wednesday and Thursday. So that remains to be monitored. I'll probably say something about that tomorrow in the Thursday Night Football recap when all the injury reports come out. But he should be fine. Joe Burrow is doing great. He doesn't look like a rookie, as Zach Taylor said. Still got to give the edge to the Ravens. No reason to believe that a rookie is going to be able to take down one of the top teams in the AFC. Moving on to the Jaguars and the Texans. Texans now roll in with a new coach after Bill O'Brien gets fired. Step up Romeo Crennel. So I think this is going to give them the motivation to change the system, change how things operate in the locker room. We heard about the impromptu fight or argument that happened between J.J. Watt and Bill O'Brien last week. So Bill O'Brien is now gone. He may have been the cancer in the organization, being the head coach and the GM and the play caller all at once. Jaguars, I think this is still a good team. It's a fun team to watch. Jay Gruden is doing well as an offensive coordinator, getting DJ Chark and James Robinson involved. But I think that the Houston Texans team is just way more talented, and this should be the first win of the season for them under new head coach Romeo Crennel. Dolphins and 49ers. 49ers was my pick for the survivor pool last week, and they screwed me, so F them. No, just kidding. But at the same time, it looks like we're going to get some of their starters back on offense. They got Deebo Samuel back last week. He should be good to go again. It didn't look like he suffered any setbacks, but we'll check the injury reports tomorrow. Dolphins, on the other hand, I'm just waiting for them to start Tua Tagovailoa. Let's go. Who cares about Ryan Fitzpatrick? But just to spite me, I think Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to do enough to win this game. So I'm going to call this one an upset. I'm going to give the Dolphins the win. Next, we have the Browns and the Colts. The Browns have lost Nick Chubb for the foreseeable future, so that will give an increased workload for Kareem Hunt, which I don't think that'll be a problem. He's perfect fit for this style of offense. On the other side, the Colts have a good defense. It's one of the better ones in the league right now. Offense isn't as good. Phillip Rivers is definitely the 2019 version that we were hoping we wouldn't get. So I don't expect much out of him. But how hard could it be for them to hand off to Jonathan Taylor 25 times because the Browns defense isn't as good? But I still think that the Browns offense is a little bit better. So I'm going to give the edge to the Cleveland Browns, and they're going to go 4-1 to start the season, which is pretty crazy when you think about it. Next, we have the Giants and the Cowboys. This should be a no-brainer. Giants are garbage. Joe Judge is a terrible coach. I'm going to give this one to the Cowboys. They're going to figure this one out early, and they're not going to have to do one of those crazy, dramatic come-from-behind fourth-quarter plays that they've been doing all season. Next, we have the Broncos and the Patriots. This game has been moved to Monday night. I'm going to give the edge to the Patriots, just because the Broncos and Brett Rippon, despite Stephon Gilmore going on the COVID reserve list, maybe he comes back in time for this. Maybe Cam Newton comes back in time for this. If the Patriots are full strength, this is a no-brainer. But even without those two players, despite inept quarterback play from Brian Hoyer and Jarrett Stidham, I still think Brett Rippon is probably the worst of the bunch if Cam Newton is not on the field. Well, he's even the worst even if he is, but I'm sort of comparing Rippon with Hoyer and Stidham. So, that's going to be a weird Monday night if Cam can't play. We're going to have some very piss-poor quarterback play. So, honestly, you're going to be looking at the Broncos to sort of ride Melvin Gordon for the night. The Patriots defense isn't really all what it used to be, given they've had a considerable number of opt-outs this season, and Stephon Gilmore may or may not be available. This could be a pretty uneventful game, but I'm still going to give the edge to the Patriots just because Bill Belichick is the chess master. Vikings in Seattle. I'm going to go with a bold prediction and say that this is a trap game. Jamal Adams is not playing. The Seahawks secondary is pretty bad, as is the Vikings secondary. This is likely going to be a shootout. So it's just going to it's going to come down to who can cook the longest, which will probably be Russell Wilson. But given the fact that wide receivers versus Seattle secondary have had great success this year, and I think that Gary Kubiak is going to want to be more aggressive as they were when they played against the Texans and just sort of carry over that mentality. This could be a scenario where the Vikings sneak up on the Seahawks and steal one in Seattle, which they haven't done. So I'm betting against history on this one. This is a very, very, very bold pick, and I probably shouldn't do it, but I'm going to. This feels like a trap game. And then last but not least, the original OG Monday night game, the Chargers and the Saints, which you can't see because I'm walking. But I'm going to say a little bit of an upset for this one, too. I'm going to go with the Chargers, as Anthony Lynn has now named Justin Herbert the starter quarterback going forward, no questions asked. This should be a fun game. Saints probably do win, but I'm going to be different. I'm going to go with the Chargers and say Justin Herbert gets the win. He's played well against good teams, played well against the Chiefs. He looks like he has it. So there is definitely that rookie game coming up for him sometime soon. It could be this one, but I'm going to go with the Chargers on this one. And the other thing that could benefit him, not that there's really much of a home field advantage for any of these teams right now anyway, is that this could get moved to Indianapolis, which would be more of a neutral site. Take away any sort of home field comfort that the Saints would have had, and this is all due to the hurricane that's coming up towards Louisiana right now as we speak. So those are my picks for Week 5 of the NFL season. We'll see if all of these games get played. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.